In today's latest news, we talk João Felix and we find out how he performed in his first training session after signing for us on loan. To move on, we talk predicted lineup in our game tonight versus Fulham, and to end things, we must talk about Graham Potter's very honest press conference from last night where he revealed that managing Chelsea is one of the hardest jobs you can take in world football. So there's a ton of things to break down and discuss today. Before we continue on, I want to quickly say thank you to all you guys that have been showing so much love and support with my videos over this past week. You guys have been so motivating, and it's always really nice to see how your work and your effort is appreciated. So honestly, thank you to everyone for the support throughout the entirety of this month and throughout the entirety of this channel's life, to be fair with you. So hopefully I can keep pushing out the bangers for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Get involved in the comments, of course, and to get straight into things. Now let's start with things. And how did João Felix's first day at Chelsea go? By the looks of things, it seems like his day was dominated by media work and media duties, which of course is going to be natural. That's what players have to do in the modern game. If anything, I liked just how charismatic he was and how confident João Felix seemed. He didn't seem to be fazed by anything. I mean, why would he be? I mean, he's a guy that was bought for over 100 million by Atletico Madrid. He's one of Portugal's best young players, one of the best young players in European football as well too. So I like the fact that he seemed quite comfortable in his new environment. I like the fact that it seems like already, like the team has a bit of a boost by just playing with him in training sessions. There was a lot of good vibes that was being recorded in the sessions yesterday, and already from the clips you can see that João Felix is looking to really impose himself in the team. You know, he's looking to take people on. He's looking to create give and goes. He's looking to find himself in effective positions to influence our game. And I feel like if you're a player like Havertz or Mount or Ziyech or anyone attacking or any midfield player, I think João Felix is that guy that ideally you're going to be very excited to play with in our team. Now, yesterday I dropped a video just talking and discussing how João Felix could be used now that he's signed for us on loan. Anyway, Graham Potter had some words to say, of course, after the announcement, and in his opinion, he feels like João Felix's best position is playing as a second striker. Now, for me, one of the reasons why I haven't pushed that was mainly due to the fact that João Felix's best work came whilst playing alongside a more traditional number 9. For example, when he was playing at Benfica, he had Seferovic, the Switzerland international player. And I guess, Felix already kind of showed us how good he was, because he even made someone like Seferovic go over 20 goals for that season. But the main thing I'm trying to say is that you need to have more of like a traditional number 9 that can play off of João Felix. And I'd be curious to see if him and potentially a Kai Havertz could form a similar relationship. Maybe both players will like take turns in terms of like interchanging positions. Okay, so if Kai drops deep, João Felix moves into the box, and vice versa. I feel like we're going to learn a lot of things over the next few weeks, especially in João Felix's debut versus Fulham tonight. So I'm going to be keeping a very open mind. I think in the meantime though, because we don't have any wingers to play, I don't think João will play as a number 10 in this team. To be honest, I don't want to see guys like Mount and Kai playing out wide anymore. I'll admit I'm a bit sick and tired of seeing that. And I feel like if João Felix was to play today, realistically, it makes more sense to play on the left-hand side where there's that freedom to roam in, drift in fields, etc, etc. Maybe as the season goes on, maybe when players return back from injury, we could see João Felix's position change and evolve again as the season goes on. But regardless of whatever position he plays in, if Potter does not give João Felix that, creative freedom and license to roam, then it means nothing. So I guess right now is the perfect time to segue into discussing tonight's predicted lineup against Fulham. Now tonight we play away from home at Craven Cottage. Ideally it's like the perfect away game because it literally is like 10 minutes away from Stamford Bridge, and that's why, for my own personal selfish reasons, I always like when Fulham are in the Premier League because it just makes our life a lot easier. We are going to see the return of one of the most underrated, undervalued, underappreciated players in recent Chelsea history in Willian. I feel like hindsight is definitely kicking in for a lot of people. Like, we took for granted what Willian was doing. Yes, I understand that at times he was playing within himself. He wasn't always perfect consistently, but I think comparing Willian to some of the young talents we have today, you can see there is like a bit of a quality difference at times. And I will always appreciate what Willian did in Frank Lampard's first season, where he played a crucial part in the team with his experience. So I've always got a lot of respect for Willian, and I learned to actually get that respect from him when I started to understand, okay, this is what he brings to the team. Anyway, maybe this is the perfect time to play Fulham now, because we are unbeaten against them in the past 21 games. And it also helps out Mitrovic is out with a suspension after picking up 5 yellow cards, so that should make life a little bit easier for our centre-backs tonight. Still though, Fulham are the surprise package of the Premier League. Already they've gone unbeaten in their past 3 games, so it won't be easy. We have to play well if we want to get any results, and I think it's about time now that we start to get wins, because we've only won 2 games in our last 10 games. In terms of team news, there's no players out with injuries that should be returning back. Pulisic is out for a few months, Sterling is still being scanned, he could be out for a few more weeks, but I'm assuming the players that didn't start versus Man City should be starting in the game tonight. So right now, let's discuss the predicted lineup, and I'm going to put my hands up, yeah? I don't have like a real strong clue about what lineup's going to be used tonight. Of course, originally, in my ideal lineup, it would have guys like David Fofana starting up front for us, but I just don't see that being something that Graham Potter would realistically do, and I want to keep things realistic based on what lineup will the manager pick for tonight. So here's the lineup I've gone for. I've continued with the 4-3-3, and that's down to the fact that, listen, Potter's used like how many different formations here, and we've still lost games, so we might as well stick with one formation to build some stability and some like improvements at least. And I think 4-3-3 makes sense for the players we have available in the squad right now. So in this team, I've gone for Kai Havertz up front, I've gone for João Felix and Ziyech either side. In midfield, I've gone for Mason Mount, Jorginho and Zakaria, and in defence, I've gone for Lewis Hall, I've gone for Badiashile, I've gone for Silva, and I've gone for Azpilicueta with Kepa and goal. Now, I'll hold my hands up. I do feel like deep down Lewis Hall may be like a massive surprise inclusion if he's used tonight. But I think the kid has really shown that he is not phased to be playing at this level. When he plays, he looks to add something to the team, and he brings some confidence to our attack when he moves into the final third. I think in terms of his application, he probably deserves to start tonight over Cucurella. In defence, another risk I'm taking is using Badiashile. Ideally, I'd assume that Potter would look to kind of ease him in, but realistically, the squad is quite thin. I think Koulibaly's form remains inconsistent to this day, and if he's playing alongside Thiago Silva, they both speak French, it should be easy for him to be able to acclimatise to life in the Premier League, especially knowing the fact that he was playing week in, week out for Monaco. So that's my defence right there. In midfield, Zakaria, he must return. I feel like this guy deserves so much credit for not giving up, for still fighting on, for still having that confidence within himself to know that he can get back and challenge for a place in this team. And I feel like we are seeing more confidence now in this game. He's imposing himself a lot more, and I feel like there's still more to come from Zakaria. So I think his energy will be important versus Paulinho tonight. One of the most underrated guys in midfield in Premier League this season. Paulinho has been so transformational for Fulham that we have to stop him to try and weaken their midfield. To move on, I've gone for Mount on the left-hand side over Cover. I felt Cover had a very poor game versus Man City. And if anything, listen, I sympathise with the fact that he's also had many injuries, and maybe at times he does lose a bit of steam, and that's why poor performances come. So as a bench option, he makes sense. And of course, up front, I've gone for Kai. Ziyech has no real competition on that right-hand side. I think João Felix actually start playing on the left-hand side is a good way to acclimatise to Premier League life, and realistically, I don't see how he would work in a 10 right now, knowing the fact that we don't have all the players we have in this team. Unless maybe Potter decides to play Mount on the left, Ziyech on the right with Felix as the 10 in behind, but that could put too much pressure on our midfield who, haven't been as excellent this season compared to other seasons. So I think this may be the starting lineup. I think Felix is probably fresh and fit enough to start playing now and is good enough to start playing for the team right now. And then as the game goes on, I'm looking at options like Fofana to come off the bench, looking at guys like Chukwuemeka as well too, and hopefully Fofana gets some minutes versus Fulham tonight. So that is my predicted lineup. Share your thoughts and opinions, and of course, leave your predicted lineups in the comment section too. And now to end things, we must discuss the team crisis talk that Graham Potter held with the squads last night. In his press conference, he was very honest about what was happening. He revealed that he spoke to senior players. They were Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, Kovacic, and Jorginho as well too, to have some frank assessments of what is happening, what can be improved upon. And he encouraged honesty from the players to really share their real thoughts and opinions about what's happening. I feel like during crises like this, where team form is down, we can't forget players are human beings. If they're losing games, they won't have as much confidence going into the next game. So I think Graham Potter's methods should definitely be trusted. We can't forget that he has like a master's degree when it comes to human relations. And he's shown throughout his managerial career, he knows how to get team spirit in his teams, and he knows how to get players back to confidence. So I'm going to give him that patience and time to do what he does best. And I think this is a good step forward to try and create some unity at least to help us reach our objectives before the season ends. Still in the press conference, he revealed that managing Chelsea Football Club is one of the hardest things to do in world football. Of course, our form has been awful. 2 wins out of the past 10 games. And Porter revealed that this is something that does kind of keep him up at night. He reveals that maybe he's not the best person to be around with his family, because he's taking that disappointment of losses and defeats with him back in his personal life. And, of course, with like high pressure level sports like this, it's natural, but it isn't always the healthiest thing to be able to do. Even though Potter knows it's unacceptable and he's not happy, at the same time, he said that he's also not panicking and he isn't surprised. And I think we should all be fair because, look on screen for yourselves. Look at the quality that is out the team right now that would be helping us. And I feel like when you're constantly just losing players at the wrong time, the game versus Man City where we lost both Pulisic and Sterling in 20 minutes. You're looking at one of the games versus Newcastle when we lost 1-0 at St. James Park where Ruben was playing on the right hand side and the game plan was to use his drives forward and he got injured in like 5 minutes. That would have killed your game plan. That forces you to have to draw up a new plan in game. These injuries that keep happening means that everything that you're working upon in training sessions instantly gets undermined, and he's then forced to have to put out match-winning game plans out from thin air. You can see why it's not very sustainable for success at this point in time. At the same time, Graham Potter revealed some more context behind life at the football club. He mentioned that things are evolving and changing, and things aren't the same as how it was under the old regime. And realistically, come on, we have a new transfer team, we have a new medical team that's getting put into place, we have new staff, we have new scouts, new everything, new ways of communicating, new ways of doing business. You can see why you're going to need some time to build those relations, to get everything fully running and fully firing. And as Potter himself said, listen, with changes at the club which happened because of events outside of it and us, it's not like there was a coup. This is what it is. We have to deal with the new and we have to build things up again because things have changed and people have left. There was part of the challenge to come here, and I understood things would be difficult. From a leadership perspective, it is hard, stimulating, and ridiculously challenging. I think it is probably the hardest job in football because of the leadership change and expectation, because rightly of where people see this football club. And of course, fans of a top 4 club, we do have higher standards and expectations because, with all the investment we're putting into our club, the expenses, all these like fair variables, you are going to have a bit more expectation from your football team. And, when those things aren't working how it should be, that is going to cause some frustration and some impatience. In my opinion, I think Graham Potter is right. And I think that if you took Potter out of the equation, you replace him with any manager in world football, they would have the same difficulties. No manager is that good where they're immune to things working against them. Because as Potter himself is saying, listen, there's going to be hard moments and sacrifices. We will get through them, but these hard moments are needed and it will take time to get past them. As he said, in my head, I think it's quite easy to actually understand this and to get it. I know there's a lot of people that don't see it that way. I'm trying to explain, but I also acknowledge that I am the head coach, and when we lose, that I'm to blame. They don't really want to hear that from me in terms of that perspective. They want to hear about the team, and of course I get that, and that's part of the pressure that I think Graham Potter naturally accepts. At clubs like Brighton, where there's never much expectations for their hopes throughout seasons, you have that time and patience afforded to you to be able to build for the future because there's no real expectations placed on you. Things go out the window once you try to apply these sensible methodologies to like big teams. In my opinion, I feel like we're in an age right now where, clubs have so much money, they're so rich, and we're seeing that money isn't the be all and end all to help save your problems. You need to have a strategy and you need to have a plan. Every club that follows a plan and strategy sticks with it, even when their managers have hard times. I think Arteta is a famous example. In the end, in the long run, they reap the benefits. If everyone's still together to still help us get out of this like negative form we're currently in, then for me personally, I'm going to give Graham Potter the patience to be able to find a way to get us out of this mess. And I think that once players return back from injury, which would be probably the major thing, because look at the stats for yourself. We started losing more games when more key players started getting injured and going out the team. When he has those little things in his favour again, then I think our season will come back on track. And if we can sign some good additions in this window, that will definitely give us a boost to help us, of course, get some momentum again. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Catch you guys there with some more videos.